Hey, hi, Peter, Watch Retrospect. Thanks for joining me today. Today, I want to talk about a watch that I honestly never knew existed. Truth be known, it's a watch that is actually discontinued by Orient. I've become a big fan of the Orient Kamasus. I've been in this watch rabbit hole for a little over 2 years now, and the Orients have just for their high dollar value have just really won me over. It's such a great watch. But when it comes to budget divers, I don't think much really touches them. Not for the money. You can buy a Kamasu for what, $200, $220 on the gray market, and you get a sapphire crystal in-house movement, absolutely beautiful dial and handset and such. But I've never knew that this watch, which is discontinued, and that may be the reason why I never knew about it. But once I learned about it and watched some other videos about it, it's like, I gotta have this. And what we're looking at here is the Orient. Now, when this watch first came out, it was called the Orient Triton. A little bit later, a couple years later, Orient decided to come out with a scaled down version of this. And if you look now, what's available from Orient is they call a Triton, is a kind of similar watch, but it's a much lower price. It's, you can buy them just like a Kamasu. They're in that same price range of, between, $225 to $300 you can find those things for. But this one was discontinued. And when they came out with the revised Triton, they kind of tried to change the name of this to a Neptune. So you'll see some people consider this the Triton / Neptune. And even when I saw that Neptune name, well, I was born in Neptune, New Jersey. So once I saw that, it's like, I got to have this watch. But that's not the real reason I wanted it. Is just like after watching the videos on this watch, it was just like, wow, this is one hell of a, looks like, appears to be one hell of a watch. And what you got here, you got a much bigger, not much, but it is definitely a beefier watch than the Kamasus. This thing here is actually almost 44 millimeters wide. It's about 43 and a half case width on this, and it has a very long 51 millimeter lug to lug, and it's a pretty thick watch. It is 14.2 millimeters if you include this little raised Orient logo that's in the back, which is quite nice. And so it is definitely a big, beefy watch. And although they were discontinued, I would find ads. I would find ads for these for new ones, either on Amazon or some other sites. And I said, I gotta have this. These things would bring a new one. They were asking for anywhere between $500 to $700. I found them, I think, for about $650 new. I tried to order this twice from two places, even through Amazon, and both of them fell through. Both of those deals fell through and never saw it. So I finally went to the used market, and I found this one on eBay, and I got this watch for $450, including the strap code. And this is what they call this. This is a strap code. They call this a J. Louis, which is supposed to, I guess, sound like Jubilee, but they of course can't use that name. That's Rolex's thing. And not only is this a J. Louis, this is what they call an Agnes J. Louis. And I believe, I'm just figuring this out in my own mind, that the reason they call it an Agnes is like Agnes beef, because this thing is beefy. If you compare this to the standard, what they call a super J. Louis Jubilee bracelet, this is, Strapcode's name, it's a much thinner bracelet than this big old beefy one. But this watch is definitely very beefy. That is a good word for it. But it surprisingly does not feel that much so on your wrist. It's 195 grams. So 195 grams is 195 grams. That's a pretty heavy watch. But the way they do the turn down on the lugs, I mean, Orients and the Kamasus are, to me, very well known for how well they fit, for a diver. And this thing here, we'll put it on, obviously, just fits quite well. But let's take a little closer look at it. It is absolutely Got this beautiful blue dial. These came in 3 different color schemes. You had you had it in black. You had like a matte black uh, dial and bezel. They have this. They also had that with some gold trim, where just the bezel, the bezel, the outer ring of the bezel was gold plated or whatever they do, and the handset. And then there was obviously the this blue one. I've just have always been drawn to blue watches, so this was the one I was looking for. And the one thing you're going to see, the hour hand's kind of blocking it a little bit here, but right where that hour hand tip is, it says 40, and you can see the red needle pointing at that area, because that is for 40 hours power reserve. So this thing actually has a power reserve meter. It's the only watch I have that has got that, and I don't know how many watches have a power reserve meter in this price range. And this watch, when it was out, new, was probably $300 to $500, somewhere in that range. And so it's just something, just a feature that really intrigued me, and I never, again, don't have a watch like that. So this watch really, really interested me, and I think it's an absolutely great buy. I ended up picking this up for used on eBay for $450, including the strap code bracelet. And it's it was used, and it's still very clean. It's got a couple of little scuffs in it, but for the most part, I was very happy with what I received. And this is a 200-meter diver. This is what they call JIS approved. It's like Japan Industrial Standards, I believe, is what that means. So this is kind of like a ISO rated watch that you see. So this, why it does say diver. You can't, I know with the Swiss watches, you can't put diver on a watch unless it has those ISO ratings. It's been certified. So this is actually certified, but by the Japanese standards. And it is absolutely a beautiful watch. It fits way better than I ever thought it would for its size. The loom is outstanding. Kamasu's have great loom. This one even puts those to shame. But it is just a beautiful watch. If you look at it, it has pretty much a very similar handset to the Kamasu. The hands are not polished like they are on the Kamasu. These have got a brushed finish to them. And the minute hand in particular is just a little shorter and stubbier than what you get on the Kamasu. The Kamasus just have a little bit more elegant look to it, maybe. But this here definitely fits this watch as far as, being a tool watch and everything. It has everything I saw about it just really raved about the bezel. Now, what I found out on this one here, and again, I bought it used, and after I got it, I realized this is working on a 60 click. It's supposed to be a 120 click, but there's a little bit of back play. And I have figured out that the bezel spring underneath there is broken. And there's, one of those tabs is broken off. So it turned into a 60 click bezel. After looking at videos, I found out that the Seiko SKX uses the same part, which makes sense since, the connection between Orient and Seiko. But a quick shout out to Long Island Watch. I did not buy this watch from them, obviously, but I had bought a bunch of watches from Mark. And I called him to say, hey, do you have these bezel springs? From what I understand, the SKX will work. He wasn't 100% sure about that, but I said that from the research, I can figure out it appears that it is. He's sending me a free one. He's sending me a free spring. And that's just a shout out to Long Island Watch and his crew there, because they're just outstanding people. I've got at least half a dozen watches from them in my collection that I bought. And for them to do that for a watch I didn't even buy from them, just a shout out to Mark and Long Island Watch. What a great company and guy to deal with, for sure. But this thing here, take a look at it. You got the nice polished sides. Obviously the crown, which has got a really nice signing to it. Nice Orient. It's real nice the way they have their, that shield and the lion emblem on there is kind of engraved in there, kind of. And it is, again, with these turn down sides, this thing just fits way better than you would ever think. The bezel has just got incredibly good grip on it. Like I said, it is now a 60. So we're going to give a critique of how it really feels. I'll save that for until I get this thing fixed. But Beautiful watch. If you're not familiar with these, check them out. You can find them obviously in the used market. Like I said, you might maybe for about $500, 450, $500, you can find this. But that power reserve meter is really neat. The lume plots are just massive. It's got the date is right there. Kind of takes up partial part of the indice. And so you have the date right there at the 4 o'clock. The crown is right smack at 4 o'clock. And it is just, I think, a beautiful watch. And, you know, I love my Kamasus, and nothing will replace those. I think they're a little bit more elegant and such. But this thing here is, if you haven't heard of it, and I'm sure a lot of you have, and like I said, it has been discontinued. One thing you'll notice, it does have the drilled lugs, which you don't see as much today. And it is, again, the lume on it is just outstanding. But anyway, let's put it on. You know, I purposely wore these two watches. This is my Rolex Submariner 5-digit 16610, and I got my Doxa Sub 300T. And I wore these on purpose to say, hey, I know what a good dive watch is. Not that I'm a diver, but I have a sense of quality. And this watch, I paid this for $450, and it came with a strap code bracelet that is by itself about $110 if you purchase it by itself. I thought I got an outstanding deal on this. But the Orient, made what they call the saturation diver, and this is pretty much a scaled down version of that. And that watch retailed for almost $2,000. And has the exact same movement that this watch has. This has got the 40 N5A movement. It's again 40-hour power reserve. It's got the power reserve meter, which is very unique. And to think again that the same movement you get in their $2,000 watch, both of which this and the saturation diver have been discontinued for some time now. But if you can pick up one of these, man, and you're a fan of Orient, go for it. They're really outstanding. But let me take off my subby here and put this thing on, and it is beefy, and it fits beefy, but I'm telling you, it just does not give you that sensation when you're wearing it. I mean, just because it's just, again, the way those lugs turn down and everything. But I got a little over a 7-inch, maybe 7.25-inch wrist, and this thing fits very well, very well. Does that mean it's a big beefy watch, unquestionably, but I love this watch so far. I mean, you have to live with them for a while to really get your final verdict in on a watch. But being an Orient fan, I can't see myself falling out of love with this thing, that's for sure. But if you're not familiar, and again, it's discontinued, but you can find them out there. But check out this Orient Triton / Neptune. And like I said, I think when Orient came out with a scaled down Triton, they kind of tried to call this thing a Neptune. And again, I just had to have it, and it took me. I had to persevere to get this watch because, like I said, twice when I went to try to buy it, apparently a new unworn one, they fell through. So I almost gave up, but I remained the course, and I finally found one, and I couldn't be happier than I am with a beautiful watch. And this bracelet, as big as it is, it matches the watch. It goes hand in hand with the watch of just being beefy. But even at 195 grams, this thing is way more wearable than you would ever think. But anyway, hey, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. Peter, Watch Retrospect.